We talked about the slope last time, and we know the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Today, we're going to explore graphing. And also, if we have time, we're going to go look into deriving formulas when they're giving us points on the graph. So we have three different equations for a straight line. All of them lead to the same thing. It's a different way of expressing the equation of a straight line. So the first one is slope-intercept form or slope y-intercept form. That's y equals mx plus b. So this is the equation y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Now, if you look at the first equation that we're going to do, it's exactly in this form. So it's y equals m, which is -3. The slope is -3x plus 5. Also, there's another equation called slope point form. That's when I give you a point and I give you the slope. And we will talk about this after we talk about this, and then the standard form. All of these three equations, they are basically different way of writing the equation of a straight line. So every straight line that we have, we could write the equation for that line in those three different forms. So we're going to start with graphing something like y equals -3x plus 5. How do we graph this? The first thing I'm going to do is go back to basics. What are the basics? Basics, when we're graphing, we start a table of values. A table of values, it's very easy. Make up some x values. Usually I start from -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And after that, all you need to do, just go plug in the x values for the x here, solve this equation. It will give you what y is when let's say the x value is -2, for instance. So if we want to find what's the y value when x is -2, all I need to do is just go y equals -3 brackets, which means multiplied, because the relationship here between the -3 and the x is multiplication. -3 times -2 plus 5. -3 times -2 is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. So this is going to give me 11. Now, how about if I sub in -1 for the x? So I'm going to get rid of the -2 here and sub in -1 instead. -3 times -1 is 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. And then we're going to continue. Always sub in 0 is the easiest thing. Why? Because if you sub in 0, all of this will disappear. You'll just get 5, because -3 times 0 is just 0. So you're going to get 5. If I sub in 1 in here, and then I go -3 times 1 is -3 plus 5 is 2. And then I sub in the last number here, which is 2. -3 times 2 is -6 plus 5 is -1. I'm just going to go ahead and graph or plot these points. So I have -2 and 11. -2 and 11 is right here. So the x value is -2 and y is 11, which is right there. -1 and 8, right here. 0 and 5, right here. 1 and 2, x is 1 and y is 2, right here. And 2 and -1 is right there. Now, could just go ahead and graph our straight line through these points right here.
Wait, sorry, can you repeat what you marked up? So
when we plotting the
dots.
this is a coordinate. So let's say the coordinate 1.
Oh, that
is here. So that means
okay,
x value is 1. You go 1 on the x value and then up 2, because this is where the 1 and 2.
Yeah, because
this point here is 1 and 2.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now we're going to leave this graph here, and then we're going to look at this equation right here, the y equals mx plus b. So we're going to look at this equation, the y equals -3x plus 5 And we're gonna graph it using the slope and the y-intercept form. So now if I ask you from this equation to tell me what the y-intercept is, the y-intercept, we're just gonna represent it as y-intercept like that. Can you just on the chat type what the y-intercept is, everyone? Okay, so here's the equation, y equals mx plus b. If I write this underneath here, it's y equals -3x plus 5. So here is the x, here is the y, here is the m, here is the b. So the y-intercept here is 5. I'm asking for the y-intercept. See here in the equation, y equals mx plus b, m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. So when we compare this equation to this, we know the slope is -3 and the y-intercept, which is the b value right here, is 5. So the y-intercept is 5. And the slope, which is m, it is -3, but it's good to put a 1 underneath. So when we walk in the slope, we know we have to rise 3 and go left 1 or go down 3 and right 1. That's like what I told you last time. If you don't understand at this stage, please ask me, because as I go further, things will get a little bit harder. So you need to understand this to be able to understand the stuff I'm gonna do after. So can you please let me know if you're stuck?
So when you said what is y-intercept, you just mean like you wanted us to answer as 5?
Yeah, just that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So now the y-intercept is 5. What does the y-intercept mean? It means it means this is the point on the y-axis. So the y-axis, of course, this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. So this is the point, 5 is the point on the y-axis. So it means it's this one right here. Now the slope, as we talked about it last time in our last class that we had, the slope means it's rise over run. And since the slope is negative, instead of rising, we could go down 1, 2, 3 and over 1 when we have 1 point here. And we could keep on doing this. From this point, we go down 1, 2, 3 over 1, then 1, 2, 3 over 1. How about if we decided to go up? If we decided to go up 1, 2, 3, then we have to go left 1. Up 1, 2, 3, left 1. What did they say about negative lines last time? I said, what did they say about if the slope is negative last time? If the slope is negative, what is the line supposed? How is the line supposed to behave? Anybody? You could just pick up the mic and talk. Okay, down is not good enough. Just the word down. Okay, decreasing is good. Yeah, decreasing is good. Okay, as we go from left to right, the line should be going down. Exactly. Okay, all of you didn't forget that, so that's good. So as you see here, this line is the same line as we had. Oops. So again, we use the table of values and we use the slope intercept form to graph it. And both of these, we're graphing the same equation basically using different methods. And therefore we should definitely get the same line. And if you got a different line, then you're contradicting yourself, because an equation that's y equals -3x plus 5, it doesn't matter which way you graph it, it should give you the same line. So if you use this method and then you ended up with a line like this, then definitely you did something wrong, because you're supposed to get the same line using table of values or the slope intercept form. Okay, so now I'm just going to give you, and I'll give you a hint as well to graph this. Okay, I'm going to give you one graph to graph. So I want you to graph this using table of values, and then also graph it using the slope intercept form. Please email me both answers and use graphing paper. And if you don't have a graphing paper, make sure you scale your x-axis and y-axis, please. So graph it using both ways and then send them to me. Hint, if you don't want to use a calculator, for the x value, choose multiple of 2's. What I mean is you could go -4, -2, 0, 2, 4, because then you don't have to use a calculator. And if you don't know how to multiply whole numbers into fractions, you better watch my video about fractions. If you don't have it, let me know, I'll email it to you. You should know how to multiply whole numbers by fractions. All right, so I said use a table of values, but make sure when you use the table of values, because we don't want you to use a calculator on this, you choose multiples of 2. So I said you could choose -4, -2, 0, 2, 4. If this was 1/3, I would say use multiples of 3. So -6, -3, 0, 3, 6. Yeah, just to make your life easier, and then you don't have to use a calculator to do it. Now, -4 times -½ is +2. -2 is 0. -2 times -½ is 1. 1 minus 2 is -1. 0 times -½ is 0 minus 2 is -2. 2 times -½ is -1 minus 2 is -3.
Is
You
that
know,
if you draw
sometimes,
one?
eh?
Is that if you draw how you did it? Because like you went a little too fast. I just want to kind of like get the image, because like sorry.
So what do you say? Like with the table of values?
Yeah, like can you just do for the 4 one? Can you do like -1/2 and how you multiplied it, just like to see if I'm doing it right?
So I'll show you this. Yeah, y
Yeah, thank you.
equals -½ times -4 minus 2. Wallahi, you know, I highly recommend for anybody who struggles with fractions. I have a whole video about everything that you need to know about fractions. Take your time, watch it, because fractions play a major thing in math. Algebra without the fractions is very tough. And the key to math and the key to algebra is understanding fractions really well. So make sure, and just remind me, I will send that video so you could watch the thing about fractions and how to do them, you know, efficiently. And that way you're not struggling with fractions anymore, because any student who struggles with fractions, they'll find the math tough, especially as we, you know, getting up right now to grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, you start dealing with, you know, higher thinking equations and higher thinking problems in math, and you need to be equipped from, you know, your foundations have to be strong and your basics have to be strong. So here, if I multiply -½ times -4, I have a video, like 2 things you could do, okay? I say, if you multiply 9 times 1/3, this means 9 divided by 3. Like if you just want to take the shortest cut possible, this means 9 divided by 3. So here, it means -4 divided by -2. -4 divided by -2 is +2. +2 minus 2 is 0. You see how that is, Nigar? You see it or no?
You just divided 2 by -4 and then you subtract.
I just said -2. So I went -4 divided by -2. Because 9 times 1/3 is 9 divided by 3.
Oh, okay.
15 times -1/5, 1/5 is the same as 15 divided by -5.
Oh, okay, I get it. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the fastest and easiest way to see it. I'm just gonna erase this as well because you kinda. Now we're gonna go ahead and start plotting these. -4 and 0, right there. -2 and -1, right there. and 0 and -2 right here, right there, 4 and -4. Oh, so when I plugged in 4 times -half is -2 minus 2 is -4. Sorry, I didn't show you that, but this is what you got. Now, also after getting the first 3 points, you know how we're going down by 1 every time? So you don't even have to do any more calculations than just -1 every time. Because you see here, you -1, it's going to continue doing that. If you put in 6, then I'm going to get -5. I'm going to put 8, I'm going to get -6, and so on. You could only do that if the x values are going up or going down by the same value. See here how we're adding 2 every time to the x value. So -4, you add 2, you get -2, you add 2, you get 0, you add 2, you get 2, you add 2, you get 4. So here, if you're going up by 2, you could take that shortcut. But if I say -4, -2, 0, and then I say 3 here and 7, I cannot do it anymore. Then the numbers will completely change. The pattern at least will change. Yeah, so let me just so I have 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and I'm just going to go ahead and graph this. So that's how your graph looks like. Now, it's much easier since you learned how to graph this using y equals mx plus b. Then you say, okay, my y-intercept is -2. And my slope is -1/2. So you go to where -2 is on the y-axis, and I plot my point. And then I start walking my slope. It's -1/2. So I go down 1 over 2 because rise over run. Down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, or up 1 over 2 this way, up 1 over 2 that way, up 1 over 2 this way, up 1 over 2 this way, up 1 over 2. So, and then I plot my line. Did everybody get this answer? Just send me in the chat, yes or no. Did you get this answer? Okay. Nigard, you understand what we did though?
Yeah, definitely. I understand. I just like made a little mistake and like everything got ruined. Like my graph sort of like went funky.
I'm recording this class. I'm gonna send you this one. Okay. So now I'm gonna go to the slope point form, and I'm gonna give you an example. So I'm gonna give you y minus 3 equals 2/3 x plus 1. And I'm gonna say graph this. Okay. So how do we graph this? This is, of course, it's number 2. This is number 2, which is this one right here. Is the slope point form. So first of all, what's my slope here? My slope is 2/3, because the slope is the m. M is right here. Compare this to this. Y minus y1, which is 3, and the slope, which is m, the 2/3, and x minus x1, and x1 here is -1. So now the slope is 2/3, and my point is the x and the y value, except you have to change the sign every time. So x plus 1 means the x is -1. And y minus 3 means the y is +3. Now you take this point, plot it. So it's -1 and 3 right there. After that, you do your slope from this point. So you go up 2/3. up 2 over 3. Or also you could go down 2 over 3 to this side, down 2 over 3.
Wait, did you get -1 from like +1 but change it to a -1?
Yeah, you change the sign here and there, yes.
Oh, why?
Every time I'm giving you the slope point form, if this is +1, you write -1 for the x. If this is -3, you write +3 for the y.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now that being done, this is your graph. Very simple. Instead of the y-intercept, you're using the point that's given to you on the graph. And I could write this equation in different format as well. I could write it as y minus 2 equals 2/3. Oops, hold on a second. Y minus 5 equals 2/3 x minus 2. I could also write it as y plus 1 equals 2/3 x plus 7. Now, if you understood what I did, can you write me one more equation? So I'm just going to wait for you to write one more equation representing this line. If you understand what I did here, you'll be able to write it. So please send me your answer. And if you don't, I will explain it once I hear from everybody. If all of you don't get it, say no, we don't get it. So that way I could explain it to you. But if you think you got what I did, please send me your answer. Yeah, Taha, you're good. Okay, so one person got it, two kinda didn't get it. So again, I went back to this equation, guys. Yeah, let me just. I'm going back to this equation. I already know what the slope is, but I could choose other points. So one point I chose for this one here, I chose this point right here. This point here is 2 and 5. That's x1, y1. So I went y minus 5 equals 2/3 x minus 2. The other one I use this point right here. This point is -7 and -1. So I went y minus -1, which became +1, equals 2/3 x minus -7, which became +7. So now, if you followed this, please write me what your equation is. Are you using this point right here?
Yeah, but then I accidentally
So then you
didn't
have
look
to write the
correctly.
point first. You have to say that's 5 and 7. Once you write the point, and this is x1, then write x1, y1 here. And then you know exactly what to put the points. Like that's all you need to do. Just write what the point is. Put on top of the 5, x1, put on top of the y, y1. Then you'll know how to place them. Because clearly it says here, y1, x1. So if I know it's 5 and 7, x1 is 5, y1 is 7. And that's all I need to put in the equation and it's done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does it or no?
Yes. So
Okay.
you just make the
So just like don't write things without writing the coordinate, putting on top x1, y1, and then you'll be able to do it. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you one to graph yourselves. So try to do this, graph it. And after you graph it, send me the answer with different points here and here. And then I would know if you did it right or wrong. Go for it, guys. And of course, if you have a question, make sure you ask it. Don't just stare at this and do nothing. Okay, some of you have sent your answers. I'm gonna graph this. So the first thing to graph this, I'm gonna tell what the point is, and the point, the x and the y value is 1 and -5. So I go plot 1 and -5 right here. And then my slope, which is m, equals -2 over 1. So that means I go down 2 over 1 this way, down 2 over 1 this way, or also I go up 2 over 1, 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 up 2 over 1. You could do it forever if you wish. And then I'm just gonna graph my line. Okay. Now I'm just gonna check on, some of you wrote some equations. No worries, Nigar, that's good, as long as you got it right. So the next thing is, I'm gonna look at, I saw 2 equations here. I'm not gonna mention who wrote them. Yeah, and I have another equation, y minus 1 equals -2x plus 2. So this indicates to me the person chose the point x -1 and y is -1. Do we have that? Yes, we do. So you're good. And the other person chose -2 on +1, -2 on +1 right here. So this answer is correct as well. So both of you are correct, guys. Yeah. I could use this if you like. So it'll be y plus 3 equals -2x. And now some of you say, what? Well, the point is 0 and -3. So it's x1, y1, and
Wait,
if it's going to be y minus -3, which is y plus 3, equals -2, and then x minus 0. X minus 0 is the same as x, like just get rid of the -0 because it doesn't do anything. That's why we left it as -2x. Makes sense?
not really. Did you so did the people pick a random one from the slope?
Yeah,
and
you
then
could take
put
any
it
point in here.
this?
You could take any point and
Okay.
use that point to fill it in.
So,
Any point.
oh, okay.
Any point in here. You could write this line here in the slope point form. You could write it.
Just flip the equations.
Eh?
Just switch the negatives. Or
Yeah. If you have a negative, switch it to positive. So to say, if I'm doing this right here, this point here is -4 and 5. This is x1. This is y1. So all I need to do here, y1 is 5. So I'm just going to put 5. So it's going to be y minus 5 equals m, which is -2. And then x1 is -4. So I'm just going to go x minus -4. So that's going to become +4. So that's another way to write the equation.
Okay, I finally understand. Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to go to the third. We'll just keep it at graphing today. And then next week, we'll start exploring a little bit more. And I think next week we should be done with this chapter, which is coordinate geometry. Yeah. So the third way to graph for me, I find it the easiest and the fastest, because I could basically graph the thing in 5 seconds. And I'll send you the video that says you could graph it in 5 seconds. So how about I send you the video, you watch it, and then I'll write an equation and see if you could graph it. Once I give it to you, I'm going to time you for 1 minute. Okay. We'll just wait for everyone to finish. So this is how you graph it, guys. Okay. Of course, what you're doing, Taha, and everybody, you're finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And when you're finding the x-intercept, you get rid of, oops. When you finding the x-intercept, you get rid of this part right here. So you know 3 times 4 is 12. Because you're making y is 0 to find x-intercept, and all of this disappears. And likewise, if you're finding the y-intercept, then you get rid of this. So you know -4 times -3 is positive 12, and that's what your y-intercept is, because the y-intercept x is 0, 3 times 0 is gone. That's why we just cross them out. But you know why it takes me like very short time to graph them? Because right away I look at this equation, I go, okay, 3 times 4 is 12. -4 times -3 is 12, and then I graph it. So it takes 3 seconds. Of course, you know, if you want to make a good straight line and stuff, you need the ruler. So it shouldn't take you more than 7 seconds, though. Okay, so any questions, any final questions from all of you? Okay, but I'm gonna let you go. Thanks today for attending, and I'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.